Welcome to A Lunch with Biggie, a podcast about small business and creatives sharing their stories and inspiring you. My guest today started as a provisional market craft butcher and has transformed into a locally loved, nationally recognized Michelin counter service and restaurant, offering dang delicious sandwiches, burgers, salads, pretty much anything you want. They will make it delicious. Oh, by the way, oatmeal cream pies, the best. Please welcome the owner and chef of Swine and Sons, Lexi Gawlak. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for so much for taking the time, and I appreciate the Heavy for inviting us to letting us do this here.
Yeah, they're awesome for letting us crash.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. So I do appreciate that. So my first question always is, what's your go-to sandwich lunch?
Ooh, that's a rough one. Go-to sandwich on our menu, go-to sandwich anywhere.
I'll do both, because obviously as a restaurant, I want you to be able to showcase one of your sandwiches, but yeah. I also want to know, like, if you're not eating in Swine and Sons, where are you eating?
Okay, fair. Okay, so the go-to item on our menu right now for me is actually not a sandwich. I don't want to.
No, that's perfectly fine.
I don't want to ruin your day.
No. This is not a sandwich podcast, by the way. It's called Lunch with Biggie for a reason. We're having lunch. It doesn't matter what you're eating.
Cool. Okay, so actually, the thing that I'm really into right now is we just started doing breakfast again in our new location, and we serve breakfast every day until 2:00.
Okay.
So my favorite thing on the whole menu right now, we actually have a brown rice bowl with a couple of scrambled eggs, avocado, chili crunch, scallion, sesame seeds, and I'm really digging it. So,
okay, I like that.
Yeah, a little bit of a healthier bent to it,
Nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
Great item, though. It's something that I started cooking for myself a lot at home. So when we moved to the new location and started doing breakfast again, I said, oh yeah, we got to put it on the menu. So
like, this is happening.
Yeah, so that's what I'm digging right now. And then I think, I'm a pastrami lover, if I'm going to go outside. We've made, as you know, we've made pastrami on and off over the years, and we make a great pastrami.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with. It takes up a lot of space in the walk-in cooler. It's like a 7-day process, so it's a whole thing. But we might bring it back. Bring it back.
And I think, and that's one of the beauties of your new location, the fact that you have more space, so you're able to do more things.
We do.
So I'm going to give a synopsis of what I know, and then I'm going to have you fill in the gaps of situations of what I know. So you guys opened in 2015. I believe it started originally as like a collab business with Ravenous Pig, and in 2019 you and Rhys bought Swine and Sons outright.
Yes.
And then you basically moved to the new location. So where it originally was, you moved it over to the local butcher.
Right.
In Winter Park. And then from there, you basically, one of the big reasons obviously was more food prep, more space allowed you to do more things. Cause I know you guys, it wasn't as large of a space, your original location that you guys had compared to where you moved into, when you were over by the local butcher. And then since then, obviously, you've kind of fast forward, you're no longer in the local butcher. You're now in kind of like in the Foxtail courtesy area, is where you're at. So kind of give us a little bit of, I guess, fill in the blank, or tell a little bit about, maybe tell your story, a little bit about the story, and fill in the blanks, like a lunch break version of that.
Yeah. So I think going all the way back to the beginning in 2015. So actually it was Cask and Larder back then that was in that space. And so I was working. It's funny because now Rhys is with Marriott. I was working with Marriott when the whole idea of this came up. So Rhys and James Petrikis came up with this idea, and they said, hey, let's take the space across the parking lot from Cask and Larder and turn it into a provisions market. So they said, let's take the pickles, the sauces, the tomato jam, all the, stuff that people love, and let's jar it and sell it in this provisions market. Let's sell the charcuterie. Let's have a meat counter. And the thought was, let's have some, bodega style pre-made sandwiches just rolled up that people can grab and go. And so we did that. We opened with that concept in April of 2015. And I want to say if we opened on April 3rd, on April 5th, everybody said, what do you mean we can't get a sandwich made fresh to order? So it lasted about 2 days before we had to adapt the first time. And but it wasn't designed to be a restaurant space. So it was a retail space. Number one, it wasn't even zoned for restaurants. So maybe if anyone from the city of Winter Park is listening, I apologize. But it was a retail space, and so we kind of we didn't have the right equipment to really be a restaurant. The space really wasn't outfitted to be a restaurant, and we pushed as long as we could in that little space, and we just couldn't we couldn't keep going in that space. And we approached the city about, rezoning and, could we convert this space? Could we put in a hood? What can we do? And it wasn't going to work in that space for multiple reasons. And so, James and Julie had the opportunity to move Cask and Larder out to the airport. They wanted to move Ravenous Pig down, so there was a lot changing for them. And so all these things all these stars kind of aligned, and they just said, hey, look, do you want to buy us out? And we when we opened in 2015, our title, Rhys and my title, was operating partner. So they kind of said, hey, why don't you buy us out and take it where you want to take it? And so we did, and then that's when we moved it over to the local butcher.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys did the local butcher then from 2019 to 2022, right?
Yeah. So we opened in the new location October of 2022. So
okay.
we went until I want to say we were down about a month in between. So maybe we went till about end of August of 22 before in the butcher. So we were there for almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And the interesting part is in those 3 years, obviously highlights crowd, obviously the location, everyone loved your sandwich, everyone loved your food, but you guys were also on Guys Grocery Games. Yeah. You guys won that in 2020.
Yeah.
Obviously, but literally right before you moved to the new location, you guys got awarded the Michelin Bib, is it Gourmand? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the Bib Gourmand. So, we were awarded the Bib. Michelin just came to Florida for the first time, so it was really exciting. We kept getting repeated emails from Michelin, like, "Hey, we're come to the party. We're going to be giving out the awards at the Ritz-Carlton. This whole thing." And I'm looking at Rhys, why are they sending us these repeated emails? Come on, we're not going to get a Michelin star. So, so I'm thinking it's no big deal. So I don't go to the party. I just don't go because. I just didn't. I thought, why would I need to be there? And I don't know, And so I don't know. Anyway, and then we got this recognition, which is a huge deal. I was literally sitting on my couch in my pajamas, and I started getting 25 text messages. Just people are going nuts. Just congratulate. I'm like, what did we do? So that was pretty wild. And
wasn't Rhys working? Was Rhys working the event at the time?
He was, thankfully. So he's working now out at JW Marriott Grand Lakes. He is executive sous chef over all 7 of the food and beverage outlets for the hotel. Wow. So he happened to be at that event. Yeah, he was working with Melissa Kelly.
So then did he go, thank you for...
He did, luckily, yeah, because that was good, at least that one of us was here. It's leave it to me. If anyone were to diss Michelin, it would be me, right? Oops, probably not getting that again next year. So anyway, though, yeah, luckily he was working out there. He was working for Melissa, and they were grilling scallops when they made the announcement. And Melissa Kelly was like, are you going to go join your party? And he said, no, I'm grilling scallops. She said, I know how to use a grill. Thank you. You can go. Goodbye.
That is hilarious.
So he did. So he went and joined the party, and then he got COVID from the party.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he really did.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's insane. So a few things kind of in between all there. So what, and I'm just kind of curious, where did it go from you guys being at the local butcher, and then it went from you guys deciding to go to the new location? What were some of the things was it a growing thing? You're like, hey, we're ready to go the next iteration? Is that what kind of led to it? And at the same time, also, it was for a long time, it was the 2 of you, and staff. And then all of a sudden, what made it to kind of go hey, you're I'm going to take over and be the day to day with Swine and Sons. And then Rhys, you're going to go and do another great opportunity. Was there certain things that kind of led to it? Obviously, I know COVID did not help the situation, so I'm assuming during that some of those things kind of played a factor in there. Yeah, so I think actually we were very lucky to be in the butcher shop during COVID. Yeah, because the butcher shop was busy. They were setting records, because if you recall, there was a point where Publix sold out of meat, you know what I mean? So people were coming in there. So that was great. And we never closed completely. We closed the dining room down for a time because there was that funny time where it was you were only allowed to have X percentage of the dining room. And our dining room was so small, it kind of was okay, let's just close. But we had a strong takeout business. We do a lot of takeout. So that we had a strong
takeout that sustained us through that time. And the butcher shop was busy, so people were coming in. And so I'm really grateful, number one, that we were there. That was a perfect location to be for COVID, so that worked out really well. Plus, we were able to sort of implement this retail thing where the butcher shop, I can't say enough nice things about the woman, Michelle, that manages the butcher shop. She's just great, and she was so supportive all the years that we were in that space, and she gave us a nice retail section, so we were able to roll out a little retail line, and that helped our revenue. So that was a great partnership. The story for the Foxtail space kind of starts with Gene and Diana Zimmerman that own the Courtesy. So Diana and I got to know each other we have a lot of crossover. We have some crossover catering clientele. Mm-hmm. So we got to know each other through the catering world. We would show up at the same events, and so we just started chatting through catering. And so she contacted me, one day and said, we're going to move out of downtown and we're going to take this space over in Winter Park, and would you want to do a food menu for us? And so we kind of, I kind of ran the numbers. I looked at it and I said, well, I would love to do it, but I don't know that it makes sense to build out a whole kitchen, just for this. And what else could we do in this space? And, so we started looking at that, and I started talking with Alex Checkman, owns Foxtail, and, kind of the rest is history. So we were able to move the Swine and Sons operation into the Foxtail farmhouse. So we're servicing that whole Foxtail space now with the Swine and Sons menu, and we do that until 9 p.m., 7 days a week. And then we're doing the bar swine menu for Courtesy.
So I was going to say, you guys do that now with that, giving you that opportunity. So and it's that concept. The beauty of the concept is it's small plates. Yeah. Kind of goes, and you kind of, the beauty of it is you're kind of working it with the beverages and the different cocktails. So you can kind of have a little bit of everything that you can kind of be able to provide and have. Yeah.
And we're having a lot of fun with it because, I have I don't know, I always feel weird saying I have a fine dining background, but I have an upscale dining background, and I haven't, we don't always get to utilize a lot of that skill set for Swine and Sons. There's a lot of underlying technique at Swine and Sons. So there's a lot of it in there, but, we don't get to
flex that muscle.
Yeah, we don't. So it's so it's nice. It's been nice to be able to do those things. Just simple stuff play with the cheese and charcuterie board and just share that product knowledge with my team and that type of stuff that we. And
in some ways, that almost kind of brings you back to your original when you guys were Cask and Larder, because that's the charcuterie aspect of the meats, the smoked meats, and all that different things, which I thought was kind of really interesting when I kind of saw that, because I was like, oh wow, it kind of full circle kind of type of thing.
It does, yeah. It's been really cool.
Yeah. What how has that transition been? Going from having your own little counter space to now kind of having almost like a walk-up counter type area. How would you describe it if someone were to come into, you call it the farmhouse? So if you were to go into the farmhouse, we
call it the Swine House. It's
I like it.
It's a weird.
Yeah. When you walk in, can you kind of give someone what, because there's definitely a mix of tables, and then there's the cozy coffee house type vibe, couches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then there's also a beautiful bar, and you can kind of obviously sit along the bar. So how would you describe something like that when they were to come in to experience Swine and Son for the first time?
Yeah. Well, number one, it's an absolutely beautiful space, and that's we can't take any credit for that. It was that way when we moved in, and Foxtail did a fantastic job with that. It's a great space. So we're very lucky that we were able to just kind of move in, plop in there, and say, hey, we're here. Thanks for the beautiful space. Yeah. So that's been great. So there's a counter where you order. It's there's just a sign up that says order here, and you're going to come to our point of sale. You can order anything off of the Foxtail coffee the drink menu. So you can't. Foxtail does some pastries. That is their flagship location. So they continue to do their flagship operation on the other side. So there's two sides to the store. And that was their original. So they continue to do all their original stuff on we call it the OG side. On the OG side, they still do all of their whole pastry program and all that stuff. So, they're to the point now where they're really growing, and they walk investors and franchisees and all that stuff through there. So they have to adhere to that program. Yeah. And then we get to be a little more free on our side, which is fun. So, you walk up to our counter on our side, the Swine House, Farmhouse, Swine and Sons side, varies by day, whatever we are calling it.
Decide to call it.
Yeah. And So our cashier is typically there. We'll take your order. You can also order coffee drinks. So we always staff that size with a Swine and Sons cashier and then a barista, a Foxtail barista. So you can get coffee anywhere in the building. We service the whole building, so you can take your little number after you complete your transaction. You can sit outside. You can sit in the courtyard. You can sit on the OG side, in the farmhouse side, anywhere you like, and we'll come find you. Yeah, they will find you.
Yes, and that you shall, because I sat there and you guys found me pretty easily. So that was definitely not a problem. One of the things. So I have a few questions on this, because one of the things that I admire and one of the things that I've seen, obviously, and I've known you guys for a long time. So, but it's one of those where we don't actually get to ever sit down and have conversations like this. So,
this is nice.
That's one of the reasons why I did the podcast, was because I wanted to have these opportunities to be able to have these conversations. But like, I think one of the things that I've loved about seeing you guys is, you both classically trained chefs. Your story is amazing. Like if you ever do background on it, like the fact that the two of you guys worked together, and then all of a sudden you kind of convinced Rhys, hey, let's both go to, go cook, learn how to cook. And you guys did. I mean, that whole story is just like an amazing thing to see. But I also love the fact that you guys have just kind of like how you've kind of almost like you're always kind of like adapting and rolling with the punches. How difficult is that sometimes to kind of be able to do? Because that's always kind of, sometimes you may have a concept of what you want to when you're starting a business. And then, you sometimes have to be like, I'm going to have to do this now, and do that little pivot.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard for some people. So what are some things, especially and as a couple, I mean, if you're both not looking at and seeing it eye to eye or going on the same view, how difficult is that sometimes?
Yeah. So, I mean, so it's funny. Where was I? Someone asked me the other day, it was like a month ago or something, but somebody said, hey, do you miss working with Rhys? And I immediately, without even like a second, like just think, no. Which is like, I felt bad because it came out so like organically and just like, and it's not entirely true, but it kind of is, so we have had to pivot a lot over the years, and we think two different ways. For sure. Like he's definitely the creative. He's the creative force, So him leaving was a huge loss for us in that department. I can do it. You know what I mean? Like I can develop the menu and I can write the menu items. But when it comes to like crazy flavor combinations and all these incredible processes, and like, he'll put things together where you're like, there's no way that's going to work, dude. And then it's like the best thing you've ever eaten. So that's not really my forte. I'm more the business and numbers. I'm boring, so, but I think that said, this new incarnation of Swine has required a lot of pivoting and bending and kind of, just finding our place. Foxtail's farmhouse was open, I want to say maybe 18 they opened, you know what I mean? So they've been open quite a while in that space. And then all of a sudden we just kind of moved. We're like, hey, we're here.
We're here. Yeah.
Change your whole, they'd never had a tenant in there. When we moved into the butcher, they'd had several tenants in that space, so it's like, it wasn't the first time they'd gone through it, and this is just, it's different. It's been a big learning curve, I think, for their team, for our team. We have a much bigger team now. We went from 5 to 19. So,
wow.
So there's been a lot of adapting, and I think, truth be told, I'm probably better with that, and I have, I think, the ability to play the long game and see the bigger picture with a little more patience and grace.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So, but that said, and we'll have to get to this, but like I hired a chef de cuisine. I hired him yesterday.
Really?
So, yeah. Because we need that creative piece, you know?
No, I think that, and that's something that you guys definitely bring. I mean, obviously you guys have the classics, like your chicken sandwiches, by far one of my favorites. And obviously that was one of the winning things that helped you obviously win and guys grocery games, but it's something I've always loved. And it's funny because we went and my daughter even asked me, she's like, hey, you're going to talk to Lex. Do you think you can bring up the topic of like the smash burgers if they're going to do the one with all the onions like they did last time? And I was like, because you guys used to have one at one of the that one at the butcher, but you don't have
onion.
Yeah. And that was what we both went, and she was like, that's what I'm going to get. And then I was like, and then it was like, nope, that's not what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So
the melt has onions.
The melt,
but it's different. But it is different than that.
No, but it's still, and the melt looks good. But I went back to OG chicken. I went to just a chicken sandwich because I always enjoy eating it. So, but I also think it was very interesting because you mentioned something about the long game, and it kind of brought me to something that kind of made me smile as I was looking at something as I was doing my research, because I try to do as much research as I can. But I found it very interesting that in 2015. You mentioned you wanted to offer restaurant quality products that can be taken home. Kind of like and what I'm noticing and what I'm seeing is now coming out. It's kind of like, I want you to tell me a little bit more about this new concept that you guys are doing with is the Swine Subscription?
Yeah, the subscription box. Yeah, Swine and Sons at Home.
And I wanted to know a little bit more where that idea came from, and did the extra space allow for that to kind of progress, but that is something that you did think of, in the very beginning.
So I mentioned that we had that retail section. It's obviously the first store was even after we became more of a restaurant, it was also a good third of it was retail food, right? So it's and then that carried over to the butcher, and then it's we really lost that in the new space, and it was I kind of thought I wouldn't care, and then I missed it. It's fun to package up your products and sourcing all the packaging and making it look cute I have a good time with it. So, so we rolled out Swine and Sons at Home, the subscription. It's a monthly subscription box. We rolled it out in January. So it'll be a monthly pickup, varying theme. So this first one was a build your own biscuit bar. So I
saw that.
Yeah, you got 6 of our frozen biscuits, country ham. We offer it a couple different levels. So there was the higher level got Lake Meadow eggs and a pound of our house cured bacon, and there's some really cool reels circulating Instagram. A couple of people made some cool videos.
I saw quite a few of them, and I've had the biscuits, so I can safely say that they're absolutely delicious. I am curious, and I haven't had breakfast yet, but I am kind of curious to take your chicken biscuit for a run or for a flavor. I'm just concerned to see, will it hold up as I eat it as a sandwich, or do I have to eat it with a fork and knife?
It's totally fork and knife. Yeah. It is. It definitely is not. It's on the messier side.
When I saw it, I was like, there's no way I can eat this.
Yeah.
There's no way I can even pick this up with this. No. I'm like, when I saw it for sure, that was one of the first things I saw when I looked at it. I was like, oh my God, it looks amazing.
Yeah, it is good. I mean, you can't argue with that hot honey. So the hot honey we ferment our own. We make our own hot sauce, so it's fermented Fresno peppers. There's 3 types of peppers in it, so it's secret, but
so good, good.
And so that's the base, and then we make the hot honey from that. So talking
about sandwiches, can you give me the key to making a good sandwich?
Texture. That's
the key?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's layering texture and flavor. It's just the key to making a good dish. You've got to have acidity. You've got to have texture. You've got to have, with a sandwich, you got to have good bread. So we still source all of our bread from Old Hearth in Castleberry, and they do a great job.
Yeah, they do.
So we get that delivered daily, and we use a variety of different products from them. We're about to put something on. We're actually going to put something on a croissant for the first time, which we're excited about. Yeah, we just did a test run, so we're looking forward to that. It's exciting.
How many people are involved in a test run to go, yeah, this is menu worthy?
So it's been, historically it was me, Rhys, Lucian is our longtime kitchen manager, Lucian Lawley, great dude. Shout out to Lou. But now that Rhys isn't with us, it's really just me and Lou, and we kind of go through it. Well, occasionally, we'll let the staff test through it and see kind of what they think of it and what it needs. We also have 2 really strong kind of kitchen manager people now. So we've got a guy, Nick, in the morning and Matt in the evening, and those guys are super solid. So they put in their input too. Matt's super involved in bar swine, and that's mostly his focus.
Okay.
He's got sort of again, we'll go back to fine dining background. He's got, but he's worked at all the notable places around town over the years. So that's kind of where he comes from. And then Nick was our kitchen manager up at the Sanford location when we did that for a while, and then he traveled here to Winter Park with us. So, so he focuses mostly on the day. But yeah, those guys taste through things with us.
That's great. That's great. What do you think has been the best? We'll go with what's the best and the hardest part of owning a restaurant.
The best and the hardest part. Well, the hardest part, I think, has been all the pivots. Like I look at the people and I think there's always like perception versus reality, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I look at all the people who I'm like, oh, they just opened and they were like slammed on day one and they were just like, so successful from day one. Like that's what I see. And like, is it true? I don't know, but it's like, and now that I'm more experienced in business, I'm like counting seats, doing math, and I'm like, oh, they've got to be grossing at least blah blah. Like I can't go into a restaurant anymore without doing 10 types of math, just trying to figure it out. But so I think that's been the hardest part, is that Swine has been a game of pivoting since the beginning. I mean, since before pivoting was like a hot button word, we were pivoting. So it's like, but I kind of feel like here in this newest location, like this is going to be great. We are already seeing it. I mean, the numbers are very strong and it's looking really good. So we're excited. So that's, I don't know if that's like, that's almost the worst and the best part,
Okay.
Because I like the pivot. I like the game.
It's like, you like the journey.
I like the game.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really, there's a lot of days where I'm just like, this is like my job. Like I do this for a living, like I get to get up and solve these puzzles every day. And it's like, that's what I do.
That's awesome.
It's cool,
No, I get it.
Yeah.
My wife I laugh because whenever she doesn't really listen to the podcast, but honey, I love you. Thanks for the support. But one of the things I always ask as I sit down in my little notebook and I'm writing down like my questions or what I'm thinking, I always say to her, hey, what should I ask? What should I ask? And the first thing, like for a lot of times, is because usually it's people who have multiple things going on. And the first thing she said to me, she goes, how the hell do they balance life, the kids, work, and everything else? She's like, how do they do it?
Yeah, that part is the tough part. I would be lying if I said my personal life doesn't suffer. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
For sure. And I mean, it's tough now. It used to be easier, honestly, when Rhys and I were working together, because it was kind of like, we'd look at each other and say, oh, can you leave? Can you, school's ending. Can you go home? So we could flip-flop a little more. And now I'm kind of on my own because he works a lot of nights. So that's been challenging, but also my kids are older now. And school's a mile away, so they ride their bikes and they're kind of
self-sufficient,
self-managed, and my mom comes from time to time to help out, and that's been good.
I totally
and bad.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Love you, Mom.
Yep. Exactly. No, I totally understand that. And that's kind of always the tough part, is like how you just make it work. I think that's kind of one of the big things, is like you just kind of figure it out and it all kind of works out and you make it work.
We do. And they have always spent a decent amount of time at the restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, ever since, so 2015 we opened, my younger one was born in 12. So he was 3 when we opened the original restaurant, so they've spent a lot of time at Swine over the years. Yeah
For sure. What do you love about food?
I think biggest thing is learning all the similarities. I don't know if that's the right word, but there's a book that I read recently. It's called You and I Eat the Same. And it's about these similarities in food across the globe, right? So it's like, I love seeing ingredients that are like maybe in South America or Mexico or southern.
Yeah.
And then you go across the equator and you're finding similar ingredients in Thailand or Southeast Asia, and seeing how 2 completely different cultures on different sides of the world use similar things and make, truthfully, pretty similar things.
Yeah.
Different but similar. That's, I think, the most fascinating thing.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And I have a buddy who, my buddy Dylan lives over in Thailand, and it's just, he's always on the hunt he's always learning and always growing. And just, I love comparing notes, reading things, talking with him. And I feel like we're always learning together. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's definitely a good one. What advice would you give someone who is wanting to start something?
Be prepared to work really hard. I think, I won't harp on it too much, but I think that I'm probably not alone in saying this, that a lot of the Food Network, Celebrity Chef, all this stuff, I mean, people think it's easy.
Yeah.
They think it's easy, and it's not easy, and it's going to be hard, and you're going to be happy, and you're going to be sad, you're going to be freaked out and terrified and tired and over it. And you still got to get up and you got to go to work, and it's not easy, but it is rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Well, you guys, if I think I heard correctly, you guys are headed down south?
We are, yeah. South Beach.
So tell folks a little bit about that.
Yeah, so our event is Michelle Bernstein's Chicken Coop.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yep, so we've been invited down to, it's a fried chicken and champagne event. So that's a great combo. I'm super excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping to take enough staff so that I can partake
so
in
you
the
can
event.
actually, not be behind and actually enjoy yourself?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it looks like a really cool. I mean, we're down there with like some heavy hitters, right? It's like,
it was funny.
Like Hattie B's next to us. That's
literally
crazy.
was scrolling down. I was like scrolling the list just to see like all the different people, participants, and all that stuff. And I was just like, holy moly.
It's so cool. And I still have that, like, I still experience that, like, what is that called? When you're like, what?
Fangirl, or like that when you have like that?
That too, but also like I don't belong. Like this is weird.
Syndrome.
That's what it is. Yeah. That's it.
But why?
I'm like,
what is it that you don't think? I mean, your food is amazing.
I don't know. It's just like, it's weird to be like, I mean, like Hattie B's is an institution, That's crazy.
No, but that's
and
awesome.
Like Ken Gilbert, he's like a huge deal,
No,
so it's cool. It's gonna be cool.
I'm super excited when I saw the announcement. For you guys, I'm super. I love being able to see opportunities like that, especially for like local restaurants that are here that are just doing an amazing job, and then to be recognized in South Florida with being it tied to Food Network and everything like that goes with it. I think it's just it just kind of shows what you guys are providing and what you guys are doing, and obviously the Michelin kind of also shows. I mean, I've been saying it forever. We have amazing food here in Orlando, and I think a lot of people just don't, they think we obviously are a bunch of chains, and I love the fact that we're starting to there's more recognition being done to it.
Oh yeah.
And you're, Swine and Sons and you are definitely one of the reasons why.
There's so many good places, and it's like, we still have a lot of chain stuff, and I feel like there's like, for every good place that opens, there's like 3 chains that open, which sucks, but but it's awesome. We went actually last night to the Ramen Rumble that Jason Chin puts on. So we went out to Morimoto, Asia, and we did that. And like, I mean, huge shout out to like Camille. Oh my God, that bowl of ramen was like unreal. And I haven't been able to go to their tasting experience yet, but man, I can't wait.
I love it.
I can't wait.
I absolutely.
I got to do it.
I'm going to try to figure out. I don't know how you're going to, how do you step away? I mean, to do that. I mean, are your hours like all over the place, especially for you now that, since you have enough staff, like you can be somewhat.
Mine aren't too bad. I usually try to wrap up my day by 5:00 at the latest, because I do, the kids are fairly self-sufficient, but my little guy needs help with homework, and they need me. So I try to get home like a normal person. Yeah. I've got enough help at the shop now that it works, and it's okay. I mean, not to say there's never a late night, but but mostly I get out of there and I get to go home, which is nice. But the big thing is I like to take the kids. I mean, we took the kids to Ramen Rumble last night. I don't know that we saw too many other kids there, but I like to take them everywhere, so they can experience different things.
No, I'm totally with you 100%. My daughter's a total foodie, so she, that's like her big thing. Like she likes anything having to do with food and being able to try new places.
I will take them anywhere if I can get my almost 13-year-old to just stop scrolling TikTok. I will take them anywhere.
Yes. Yeah, I got you. I totally get that. Where can people follow you? Where can people enjoy your food? give people a little bit of a layout to kind of let them know where they can go.
Sure. So the new location is located within Foxtail's farmhouse at 1280 North Orange in Winter Park. We are located just down from Black Bean Deli and that funny intersection of 1792 and Orange Mead and the Einstein's Bagels. That was my first job, actually.
Really?
It was. Isn't that funny?
That's crazy.
Been there for a long time. So right across from Jewett. So that's where we are. We also do the Swine and Sons at Home monthly subscription, so you can subscribe. There's a link to the subscription page on our website at swineandsons.com. We also cater, we can bring it to you. So there's also a link to our catering page. You can order through our catering department or online, and that can be done through our website as well. What else? Where else are we? I don't know. I think that's it. Is that it?
Instagram and I guess.
Oh yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah. So you can definitely follow us on Instagram. We have a good time on there, so we're always posting something new. Yeah.
You guys do a good job there.
Yeah.
You guys definitely do a good job on looking at, and that's one of the big ones I think for me, like, because I think food is very great for when Instagram and stuff like that, be able to see TikTok, those type of socials, just because you're able to see it, the visual aspect of it, the deliciousness of it.
I love the new, I do have to admit that I love the new trend. I mean, I don't know it's new anymore. It's new to me. Am I showing my age? I don't know. But video, I like the video.
Yeah.
It's more fun. Yeah. It's more fun than all the still photos,
I get it. I totally get it. I think it's definitely a fun thing to be able to see. I'm amazed by how many people love to see people actually eat food.
Yeah.
That's always, I always find that to be interesting. They, especially, I don't know if you've ever seen the term mukbang is what it's called.
No.
It sounds dirty, I know.
It does.
But it's literally watching someone eat. Like you just see them eating food and they're talking about it as you're eating it. And it's funny because when I started the podcast, everyone thought that that's what my podcast was. It was like Lunch with Biggie. You're like, oh, you're going to go eat and we're going to have to hear you chew. And I'm like, no. There's no chewing.
No chewing.
Yeah, no chewing, no ASMR type stuff. But I'm like, but some people like that. So, you never know. But no, Lexi, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it. Thank you
for having me.
I definitely think it's. I've been wanting to chat with you guys. I've been waiting, and obviously then as things started moving. You moved to a new location. You guys got busy, so then I was like, oh, let's just wait a little bit and kind of see from there. So I definitely appreciate it.
It's been a wild ride the last couple of months. So.
I was gonna say, and I think it's gonna keep going. And I think it's but I think it's in a positive way. Like I'm looking forward to seeing where, like, once you've kind of now established this as the new norm. How this kind of goes and maybe how it grows. To possible other opportunities and whatnot. So I think it's I'm really looking forward to it. I'm there for the ride because I love your food. So
cool.
I'll be eating along the way as we go, as we get closer and closer now. 8 years now, right?
8 years, yeah. I think it's safe to say you'll see some new projects coming down the line.
I like that. I like how, especially since my podcast Evergreen. Anytime anyone hears it, they'll be like, oh, I wonder what's going on. And they'll be able to check you out online to be able to see exactly what it is that's grown and cool. Possibilities happening.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's our show for today. Thank you so much to Lexi of Swine and Sons for being on the show, having lunch with me. Definitely make sure to check them out. If you do get food, whether it's breakfast, whether it's bar swine, whether it's their sandwiches, patty melt, oatmeal cream pie, like I mentioned, by all means, definitely take a picture, take a selfie, tag them, make sure to tag me on it. I always love seeing that as well. Make sure to, check them out. If you enjoyed the show, so make sure to subscribe to my show. If you want to support me, check out my brand, Daily Fresh Threads. Tell your friends as well. But thank you so much for listening. Till next time, keep eating sandwiches and definitely follow your passion. Thank you so much, everyone.